Alright, let's go over the install of a 2019 BMW X3 using the bottom load method. I'm going to start with using my Doodlebug scrubby pad, and that's just to clean the glass, make sure that it is free of any contamination as well as adhesive. So I'm using my left hand to feel if there's any adhesive left in the glass. If there is, you want to get rid of it, otherwise you'll be doing that tint all over again. Go ahead and squeegee my glass. If you notice, I always use my palm to kind of clean off my squeegee blade. I don't want any contamination on there. And now I'm ready to install, so I'm going to put a lot of slip. I like a lot of slip. It depends on the temperature in your shop as well and how much slip you put or how much soap you put in your bottle. We use Johnson baby shampoo. I usually go pretty heavy on a bottom load. I'm going to pull my liner off and put a ton of slip here. I want it to slide real easy. I do not want to have any dry spot, as that can just become a problem and kind of just make it a hindrance when installing. So we're going to carry that to the inside. If you notice here, I'm kind of fighting the film here a little bit, but that's okay. If you're using good film that's got the right thickness, it will not cause a crease or a kink on the film. So I'm going to start near the A pillar. I'm just going to start feeding it. I always like to maintain with my right hand that film, making sure it is not touching the top of that window trim. I'm going to wait until I get that film all the way down past the glass and then roll that film over. Now I'm just making my adjustment, and I'm going to go to the outside, making sure there's no light exposed. Now I can lock it in place. So I'm going to put some slip back on. Always use slip anytime you're going to put a squeegee on your film. I'm going to get rid of some of that water. I'm not locking it in place 100%. I just want to clear that water so that I can see what I am doing. Make sure you squeegee your sides. Not too much pressure. We're just trying to get rid of the water. And now I'm going to apply more pressure and actually lock it into place using my Blue Max. Now as I'm pushing, squeegeeing to the side, you got to come back with an easy reach to squeegee those sides and make sure you get that water down and away. Now I'm going to roll the window up, and now I'm just going to squeegee down. Now normally you do not need to shrink side glass, especially if you're bottom loading. The adhesive on the film itself will grab for you, but some glass have more curves than others, and so you might have to shrink them. So in this case, I went and squeegeed down, and then I noticed that there was actually a small finger that popped up. If you can still see it there on the bottom. So I'm going to try to squeegee that again and see if it'll just stick with the squeegee. Unfortunately, it didn't. So I'm going to heat from the inside. This is a little bit more advanced. You definitely want to be more careful when doing this. It's definitely not something I advise to do if you're new, as you could burn the door card and that'll cost a lot. So you need some experience when it comes to doing that. We're just going to put the sweep back in place. Now, if you see, there are tabs here on this door card. So we actually got to get these little clips over the trim there. So I'm using a little bit of a wedge tool just to kind of get those up and above the actual seal. And once I got those popped back in place, I'm going to just check visually for the alignment and make sure there's no gaps. Putting that speaker back in place, just make sure you plug it back in, and then just aligning the tab and making sure that everything is nice and flush all around. From there, we're just going to test our window, make sure that nothing got loose while the install happened, and then you're good. Go and clean your glass and do your final inspection on the outside, making sure that there's no contamination, and move on to the next window.